Hey y'all,
What's going on, guys?
I'm Jay. This is Einstein,
And I'm Chris the Bird Nerd.
and we
And we
are
are the
the
Bird
Bird
Brains.
Brains. You know what I just realized? We did not
Huh.
do this last episode.
We didn't. I think we just rolled the camera and had a little bit more. I don't know. What is it? What is it? Flowy kind of video. It was nice, actually. I liked it.
Yeah,
It's good.
the way those flowy ones come about is we're talking and we go, "Oh man, we should record this," and then we hit
Yeah.
record. So, Chris and I become good friends. We talk almost every day, and
Yeah.
so we've just both been slams. We haven't talked as much lately, like every other day
I know.
lately. So, um,
Yeah.
so we were doing some catch up, and we're like, man, we got to record this. So we did. Um, Today, though, This is kind of a short and sweet. We've gotten a lot of requests lately for the blue-faced
Yeah.
parrotfinch. So today we're going to talk about just general species overview, breeding, care, blue-faced parrotfinch.
The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. Bird Brains, Bird Brains. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. Bird Brains, Bird Brains.
First, though, big shout out to New Zealand, our sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys are awesome
what are you
rock
doing?
stars. And if you guys, I'm sure you're well aware, we've launched the Bird Brains perch box right there. Jay's got it on hand. I got mine out in the shed. I've actually been putting up all the different perches and toys out in the aviary for the birds these last couple weeks, and they've been loving them. So shout out to all of those who have subscribed and ordered, and those who haven't and are thinking of it. I would strongly encourage you to do so. And you don't have to subscribe. You can just do it a one-time thing. You can do it for one time and see if you like it. But if you do subscribe, then you get additional perks and discounts on other catalogs and items that they have throughout their uh, throughout their store. And so for me, it's worth it if you subscribe. It really has some pretty cool perks and benefits and discounts that come along with it, on top of some cool toys and treats that you get monthly for your birds.
Yeah, use code BirdBrains, 10% off. I'm sure
10% off.
Chris will do the thing. Yeah, he taught me how to do it. Um, but yeah, so they're awesome. They've got everything you need. Check out the Perchville section. Some people have said, they have a hard time navigating the website, and I get that. It's a little bit like fancy. But once you get to New Zealand, and we'll link it below, go to the Perchville section, and you can just use the search function, works the best, kind of search what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And you can use kind of like broad terms, like you can search like medication, you can search broader stuff, and it's awesome. All right, blue-faced parrotfinches.
Yeah,
My
let's jump
first
into it.
parrotfinch that I ever owned and bred.
Really?
Well, Gouldians are technically a parrotfinch, like
I
they're
guess that's
parrot.
true. They're in the species or family, I guess.
Yeah, they're in the. I think family's the right. I think that's right. So they would be my bird, but my first like true parrotfinch was the blueface.
See, and I haven't successfully bred any yet. This last year, I kind of did a big leap and brought in quite a few different blue-faced parrotfinches. I think I brought in seven total, and a couple of them were older, so it really is more like five true like breeding aged pairs or finches in hopes to try and breed them. I did get a couple to build nests and lay eggs, as we'll get into some of those details further on. But love to hear your success story, Jay, with the blue-faced parrot finches. We'll talk about, how do we tell genders? What's the best housing options for these birds? How fragile are they, etc. And just try and hopefully hit on some points that I know I've had several viewers reach out to me asking about, and so hopefully we'll be able to cover that for you guys and just really get a video out there. There's like no videos whatsoever on the blue-faced parrot finches that give any details on their care. So hopefully we can provide that for you guys today.
Yeah, I mean, so I've raised 15 maybe. Have
Nice.
you
That's
ever
awesome.
done red throats? Have you ever bred any
Uh-huh.
red Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
but
yeah. And
not
I've
blues.
two years. I 2 years ago I got the red throats, and I've bred them 2 years in a row, but haven't had the same success with the blue throat.
Yeah, they're a little bit easier, the red throats are than the blue-faced parrot finches. I don't know why. It's hard to put my finger on it. It's blue. I think red throats are harder to get to go to nest, but once they go, they go.
Yeah,
Blue faces will go to nest quickly, but they have a harder time getting chicks out. And I've learned some hard lessons on blue faced parrot finches. Um, so let's start with just kind of the general overview. So like in my mind, the parrot finches you can get in the States and most places in the world, you get blueface, red throat, Forbes, pintail,
pintail.
and maybe some other ones every once in a while. But those four are the ones that are like
Most
pretty
common.
common. Yeah.
Yeah,
And of those, the pintails are the least. Blueface
yeah,
is probably the most common, or reds. I don't know. Blueface, red throat, probably in about the same
yeah. I'd say
thing.
probably similar. Yeah, for sure.
Of those two, um, neither one of them used to be in aviculture when I was younger. I feel like the first time I ever saw a
Uh-huh.
blue-faced parrotfinch was when I got one in the mail and opened the box, and there they are in real life. Um, so I would say they are the better of all the parrotfinches I just listed. They are the best aviary, mixed aviary bird. They are not like your red throats can be kind of domineering and aggressive. Like if you go back on my Instagram a few weeks ago, I posted a video of Prodigal. Like there's other birds like eating some fresh seed heads, and he just comes in, and I said it to the here comes the boom because he just he's
He
mean.
commands the stage.
Yeah, right. So the blue faces are not like that. They're pretty laid back. I mean, they're a
Yeah.
higher energy bird for sure. They are not a sit still bird, but
Yes,
they
for
are
sure.
not pushy or really domineering in any way. Um, I would almost call them a little bit shy. Um,
Yeah.
but they're because of that, they're a good mixed aviary bird behavior wise. Do you have them in the aviary or you have them by themselves?
Uh-huh.
What are you doing with
Yep,
them?
I've got him in the aviary. So I've got my red face on my female flight. So all of my red face are together in my
Hmm.
female flight, and then all of my blue face are together in my male flight. And yeah, I would agree. High energy, but very friendly. Like the only time I've ever seen a blue face parrot finch chase any bird around was when it was trying to mate with a female, and it was its
Right.
own kind, right? I mean, other than that, I don't even think I've even seen them fence speak with another finch. They just give up and they
They'll
go on
fly
their
away.
way. Yeah, so and I think from and we can get into a little bit more in detail as we go further, Jay, but I think because of that, in my experience, they've been harder to breed because they're a little bit more skittish and shy, and I can't, if you don't have a really secure nest, they're not going to sit in there as tightly as you want them to, and so that I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't been super successful. But yeah, very, very kind birds. Do very well in a mixed aviary. If you're going to put them in, I do have them with zebra finches, and they do fine. I think they don't let the zebra finches bully them around, but they're just smart and they're like, yeah, he's sitting on that branch. I'll go find something else. So I think
Yeah,
they intentionally keep themselves away from the drama. Is probably what I would put it as.
that's a great way to describe it. They're kind of like above the drama. Yeah, you're right. I've
Yeah,
never seen one really bill fence either. And I mean, they're a decent sized finch as far as
yeah,
the Australian Pacific Island size birds. I mean, they're probably in between a regular zebra and an English zebra in size. So I mean, they're a decent sized bird.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, there are some tricky things about them. So let's start there. You asked if they were hardy. In my experience, they have been hardy. Certainly hardier than the Forbes.
yeah.
Probably hardier than the red throats too. I've never really had any issues with them health wise. Um, but there are some other considerations. So one, all your parrot finches are really prone to inbreeding. So if you have red throats, like Chris was just talking about, and I've had them in the same, uh, both in my aviary at the same time before, and you just
Hmm.
got to be careful and watch it.
Yeah,
But
right.
as a general rule, I probably would say have one or the other, or don't have them together.
Yeah.
Because like Chris just alluded to, they don't the normal sequence for finch mating is the male does some kind of thing, whether it's a dance or a song or both,
Hmm.
or gets a piece of grass and does the head bob. There's the male does some sort of demonstration of his
Yeah.
fitness.
Builds a
The
nest and draws the female to him,
right
things like that.
the female shows off, presents her undercarriage, and you get more finches, right?
Hmm.
So uh, parrot finches, I don't want to use the R word here, but they have
It
fairly
it
non
is very
non
close to that.
it's pretty non-consensual.
Yeah.
Basically, and you, I mean, you could read this on their Wikipedia page, I'm pretty sure. The male will chase the female around until she finally basically says, okay, fine, and gives up, and then they mate. So that where that's important is twofold. One, it's a way to sex birds. So the bird doing the chasing is a male, the bird getting chased is a female. The other thing that's important is if you have two or three males and only one or two females, or two males
She's
and one
gonna get
female,
beat up.
she might get killed because she'll
Yeah.
just get constantly chased. So if because this next thing we're about to talk about is how hard they are to sex. Because they're hard to sex, if you're the kind of person that says like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this and try to breed them like Chris talked about, I'm going to get six or seven. If you end up with, seven birds and five are male and two are female, that's a problem.
Right.
And like you can tell if your blue faces have been mating because the female will be bald on the back of her
Yep.
head from the male
Hmm.
grabbing on. So keep that in mind. So right when you introduce them, keep a real close eye on them for a few days. And if you're noticing a female getting bullied, pull her out.
Yeah.
It's not going to resolve like some other birds, like zebra finches, sometimes kind of fight at first and then sort of figure out the pecking order, and that's why it's called a pecking order, right? And then they're good. That doesn't work with parrot finches. You got to remove the female if she's getting chased too hard.
Yeah. So and that's a great way to sex them. So if you're going to buy a blue faced parrot finch or you're out in an aviary, you see one of them that's got a bald back of the head, it's going to be a female. 9 times out of 10, it's a female, unless you have an old sick male that's lost some feathers on his head. Uh, so be aware of that. Like Jay said, pull them out. If they're missing feathers, they're getting picked on too much, and that's not good. So pull them out, keep them healthy as you can. I've found that my females are more fragile than my males. I tend to lose the females way easier than the males, whether it's due to egg binding or the males harassing them, etc. So uh, pay extra attention and give more attention to those females once you've sexed them. If in a I tried the colony setting this last year with the blue face. I think I had some wins and some losses, but I did, with my red face parrot finches. Once I did see one of the females getting chased, I actually ended up pulling that female out with my dominant male, or the one that I wanted her to breed with that was the most pretty, and kind of separated them, and was successful that way. So thought of maybe doing something like that this next spring with my blue face, just so that I can pair them off, because I'm pretty sure I have more males than females right now in my colony, and I'd love to get a couple more new bloodlines as the springtime comes, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, uh, visually trying to sex them, Jay, really difficult. The red throats, it's easier. The red, goes extends past the eyes, and they usually have a bigger, patch of red up on their throat. For the blue face, the males do have a little bit bigger of a blue patch. The one thing that I've noticed is the males usually have darker, more vibrant colors when it
Yep.
comes to the mask and the overall body. So if your bird looks a little bit darker and duller, usually I would say that's your female. But you need multiple birds to be able to compare and contrast with that as well. And so yeah, they are a little bit more difficult to sex visually. I don't know, Jay, if you found anything else other than them singing and or chasing females around.
Einstein went and got some food and went to the bathroom. Yeah, so I will say the so the problem that you're talking about. So like people, you'll see online, oh, you can sex them by um, their head color. The problem is a male out of breeding condition looks female, and
Yeah,
then in breeding condition, your prettiest females and your like kind of least pretty males, there's like a 20% overlap.
yeah,
Um, so there is that, and then there in like Latino mutation, which there is a Latino mutation, like forget about it, no chance. So
yeah,
DNA, and then the other thing is they don't sing, right? Like
yeah.
they can make noise, and like red throats, the males do this like trill call.
Uh-huh. All the time.
Blue faces are like kind of monks, like they're pretty silent.
They are pretty
Um,
quiet birds.
and yeah, I mean, great if you're looking for a finch that's really pretty and makes no noise, like I show you the blue-faced parrotfinch. Um, but so there's not, it's just not, I mean, I think the method you described is the best way of get a gaggle of them, let them kind of show you who's who, and then split them up. I've only ever bred them one pair at a time in the aviary. I've never had more than one pair of blue faces at a time. I
Okay.
might have had it for a while. I can't remember, but the birds start to blur together after a while. But I have found they really like privacy. I've bred them in my mason jar nest box,
Okay.
and in like a true box nest box. But in the wild, they are the reason that I invented the mason jar nest box, because in the wild they would breed like in the hollow of a tree in a dark hole like that. Um,
Yeah.
I also the red throats tend to like a knee height nest box ish
Mm-hmm.
area. They'll go
Mm-hmm.
higher, but like
Yeah.
chest to knee height maybe. The blue faces want the highest one they can get in the aviary. So uh, that's what I've done there. They are good nest builders. Um, as far as getting them into breeding condition, nothing crazy there. Egg food, they definitely eat live food, stuff like that, but nothing, Oh, and like fresh green seed heads, especially in millet,
Okay.
they're going to be one of the first to the millet. Um, the main issues I have with them in breeding are they're pretty quick to abandon chicks.
Yeah.
So keep it's not necessarily nest checks, but like any exterior like pressure, like other birds trying to like steal their nest, they'll let them. Like you talked about before, like they're pretty conflict
Yeah.
avoiding. So if the conflict arises, they'll just be like, ah. And then the other problem I've had is, so they're a tropical species. They live in like in the wild. They're in like New Guinea, like New Caledonia, like basically like the in World War II, like all the major Pacific battles, like that area. Really, actually, Einstein's same neck of
Yeah.
the woods. They would exist in the same area. Oh yeah, thumbs up. There you go, buddy. So um, they it just doesn't get cold there. It's like right on the equator. It's the South Pacific. Like, watch any old World War II movie. Everybody's always sweaty.
Yeah.
So they, what happens, and Gouldians will do this too. About day 10, they stop sitting. The parents don't, incubate's the wrong word, but brood. The parents don't brood
Yeah.
the chicks anymore. And if it is below like 78 degrees, the chicks will freeze to death overnight,
Hmm.
because they don't really have feathers. There's like a 3-day window where their feathers are still coming in, but they don't really have temperature protection yet, and the parents aren't
Right.
sitting anymore.
Yeah.
So what I've done in that situation, if I'm gonna have that problem, in like in August here, it's 85 at night, it doesn't matter. But what I'll do if like the first clutch in the spring where it's still getting down in the 60s at night or 70s,
Hmm.
I'll literally put the heater right underneath where their nest box is and let
Yeah.
the heat, let it waft right there and keep them warm. So you got to monitor that,
Yeah.
which is hard to do because, like I said, you don't really want to nest check them a lot. So you kind of just got to pay attention.
Yeah, I think for my experience this last year, Jay, it was that exactly. I never had an issue getting them to breed. Like my males built nest boxes, my females laid eggs. Fertility was great. I had two separate pairs,
Hmm.
uh, and but it was literally my one pair I had in the aviary, my other pair I had pulled out and separated, and I had them in one of my breeding little cages just as you walk into my shed on the left hand side. Literally before I was fully in the shed, the female was already out of the nest. Like I rarely saw the female in the nest.
Yeah.
They just were so shy and skittish, and she had plants in front of it, so it wasn't that it was like out in the open. I tried to provide some privacy, and it wasn't enough, and she didn't feel safe. She didn't feel like she was hidden enough. So I think this next year, I do have plans on adding a lot more stuff to my aviary and my big flights, specifically for the parrot finches, both red face and blue face, and my star finches, in hopes to maybe have take a little bit better angle with the colony breeding in the big aviaries. And I'm going to pull my other aggressive species out so they would not have any zebra finches in there, no shaft tails, no amadinas. I mean, it would be my very passive tropical birds, and intentionally put heavy plants, heavy bushes,
Hmm.
specific nest boxes, baskets, things like that, in hopes that maybe I could get a little bit more success there. So that's the angle that I'm going to take this coming year, in hopes that maybe it'll work for me, and we can get some blue-faced parrotfinch chicks to the nest or to the perch. But hopefully, yeah, I mean, but right now it's wintertime. They do not like the cold, Jay. And like
No.
they're hardy enough that it's, 30 degrees outside, and if the sun is shining, they'll go out in the aviary and they'll sit in the sun and they'll fly around. But yeah, I mean, they're fluffed up because they don't have that down feathers in there. And I've got the bird shed. I think the lowest it hits is like 65 degrees. So it's not that it's cold in there, but it's constantly being battered by cold all surrounding it, and they do not like it. So they're
No.
mowing through the food right now just because their little tiny bodies are trying to stay warm. But but they seem to be doing okay. So there's ways to keep them alive in the wintertime, like I'm doing, and they're doing just fine. But they're all molting right now. They're, it's cold. They look like they're hating life, to be honest with you, and they go through really heavy
Yeah, I
molts.
was gonna
Once
say
that
they molt hard.
once they molt, it's just all there. Half of them can't fly for 3 or 4 days until they get those flight feathers back in. I mean, they look rough, but then once they get those new feathers in, man, they look amazing. And you get them in that sunlight, and they are beautiful birds. So, yeah, I think privacy is number one for the blue-faced parrot finches, in hopes to getting them to breed. Make sure that you've got a male and female, observe them. I think that's the best way to find the genders, to identify them, is just observe them, see what if your male's chasing them around, or you're getting any females that might be getting picked on. Be intentional with their food. They do like mealworms. They love millet seed, like Jay said, the green grass heads, seed heads that you have in the springtime and summertime, um, to help trigger them to breed and to feed their young. I know. I'm trying to think what else, Jay, if we're missing anything.
I mean, yeah, like we've talked about it, but the keep the temperature going. Oh, the other thing I will say, um, they would not be a bird that I would recommend for keeping in a cage long term. They need to be an aviary
Yeah,
bird. They are really prone to
very
obesity.
obese. For
All your
sure.
parrot finches they just crush food.
Uh,
So they've got to be
the
able to fly a lot.
the parrot finches, they're like a teenage kid that they have no limit on the amount of food they'll eat. I mean, they just pound it. Doesn't matter if it's insects or seed or millet or whatever, egg food, they will go to town on it. So if you have a big enough aviary, they have enough energy, they'll burn that off. But if you put them in a smaller cage, they'll still eat that same amount of food with not as much space to burn it off with. And yeah, they get fat, obese really quick, and they're a light feathered bird, which means if they're obese even just by a little bit, they really struggle to fly. It's not like
It's like a golf ball. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, really. So
just
yeah,
round.
yeah. Be aware of that, and make sure you don't have them in any small cages, especially long term. It will not go
Yeah,
good health wise.
I think that about covers it. I mean, they're not,
Okay.
it's not like they're anything like insanely crazy. But they are definitely, where would you put them on? I would say they're upper level of immediate, bottom level of advanced for breeding, somewhere in there. So
Yes.
that,
Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking. Putting them there. I if I would I would venture towards the Goulian finches, the red-faced parrot finches first. Make sure you've got a good setup and design and understand those. And then if you're successful with them and feel comfortable with those species, I think you could take that next step to the blue-faced parrot finches.
yeah, I think that's right. All right, if they got a blue-faced parrot finch question, say that 5 times fast when you're tired. Um, where could they find you, Chris?
Yeah. Well, first of all, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. I know I've had several reach out to me already, so let me know if you feel like Jay and I was able to give you the information that you were looking for. I know Jay's got more experience successfully breeding the parrotfinches, the blueface, um, but I have more birds currently right now.
I
So
don't have any
we,
blue-face right now. Yeah.
yeah, so just kind of bouncing that back and forth. So let us know, drop some comments down below. If you want to reach out to me individually, BirdNerd4 on Instagram is the best platform to get to me. PM me there. Also, YouTube, Facebook, you can message me on those platforms. I look at those weekly and try to respond as quickly and as frequently as I can. Jay, how about you?
Yeah, just like Chris, Instagram DM is the best way to find me. It's the underscore JVary on Instagram or the JVary on all the other platforms. Obviously, I'm on YouTube. I'm also on Reddit, Threads, which sucks. I'm on TikTok and I'm on Facebook. Uh, Facebook Messenger, I'll get that too, but Instagram's the best way. Probably just forgot a platform. I'm on too many now. But yeah, we love to help. Almost every time somebody messages me, like for the first time, like, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but you're not bothering me. I want to talk more
Yeah,
about birds. I promise
absolutely.
you, I want to talk about birds." So, and so does
Birdbrains
Chris. I
podcast
know
with
because
Chris and
we
Jay.
talk about
The
birds all the time.
Birdbrains podcast with Chris and
So
Jay. The
reach
Birdbrains
out, give
podcast
us a
with Chris and
shout.
Jay. The
Drop down in the
Birdbrains.
comments. Even
The
Einstein's
Birdbrains
yawning.
podcast with Chris and Jay.
So we're gonna wrap
The
this one up.
Birdbrains
But
podcast with
thanks
Chris and
for
Jay.
following
The
along, and we'll
Birdbrains
catch you on the
podcast
next
with
one.
Chris and Jay.
Appreciate you
The
guys. We'll see you.
Birdbrains.